ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprong, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Stablenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by Teddy Bear 2 himself, Nick Stablenko.
Donald, I had a nice little week there.
Did you have a nice little week there?
I had a nice little week there.
You know what? You and me both, except for the fact that I was working Sunday morning and neglected to set my actual lineups. How depressing is that?
You know, I set mine on Friday after we did our fantasy focus, and man, my pipes were just growing. They're great.
I don't think listeners on the radio right now can hear your pipes.
I think they can hear how intense my pipes are getting, and I hope that they can just kind of equate that to the size of the pipe, and it's huge. Let me tell you that.
You do realize this is a fantasy podcast, not a pipe-laying podcast.
In my fantasy, my pipes are huge.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew Footer, you have anything to say about that? That's just really uncomfortable.
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you're a little stumped there because, as you should be, that was a very strange intro. For some reason, since we've had this group together of me, Nick, and Footer, it's gotten a little weird.
Yeah.
We need to switch something up. I think Zach needs to come back from his permanent hiatus of whatever he's doing and save us.
Well,
I don't know about that.
No, you don't. You want your seat, don't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
That is true. Tweet us at SFL Show if you think Footer's been doing a good job. His universe is slowly dying, which is nice. Your universe is not being mentioned anymore.
Yeah, about that. Someday, maybe.
Someday, it's not coming
Someday
back.
the universe will be recreated once again.
That is true.
Yes.
Today on the Star Fantasy League Show, it is Tuesday, which means only one thing. What's today?
November
Wrong.
11th?
It's Food Tuesday. What's wrong with you, man? No, it's actually Tuesday, which means it's waiver wire day. We're talking the guys you need to pick up to make basically your team, because this is crunch time. We got the next 3 weeks until fantasy playoffs. Yep. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have your team completely set to make a run, you're in trouble at this point.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, there's a lot of
yes, it is.
I mean,
You're correct.
There's a lot of big guys available this late in the season in a lot of leagues, so I'm interested
That's
to see.
true. It's so important that we're actually going to lead off the show with the waiver wire talk, but not before we talk about that drubbing last night. I think that Philadelphia saw what Aaron Rodgers did on Sunday and went, "Nah, we got this."
You know, I think that my point is proven that Mark Sanchez is actually a better quarterback than he was on the Jets.
Yeah,
What do you
okay.
think?
The one thing I'll give you is that the system in New York, led by defensive-minded people, has no development or growth at the quarterback position.
It sucks.
And guess what? They're a run-based offense as well. So how are you going to develop a quarterback when 90% of your mentality is run first?
Well, but the whole point that I'm trying to make here is that, you know, we get all these fans that say Geno Smith sucks and they got to go to Michael Vick and Mark Sanchez sucks. They have to draft a quarterback. No, I think that they need to figure out a way to develop an offensive scheme rather than just putting it all on the players themselves. Because Rex Ryan is not an offensive coach. They brought in Marty Mornhinweg, but I don't really believe in what he has going on.
Can I give you one name who was available this offseason, and I don't even think they interviewed him. I didn't hear his name come up.
Yes, you may.
The quarterback whisperer, Ken Wisenhunt, became a head coach this offseason.
Yep. And
where was he?
They let him go.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay if the Jets are a run-based team. That's fine. But they need to find a quarterback that fits that system. They don't really – and if they're going to use a draft pick on a quarterback, they need to use it on a guy that they can develop in that system. It's not a problem to not have a passing quarterback. Really, honestly, I could see things in 5 to 10 years switching back into a running offense. That's just the way that the league works. You go one time you're going pass, one time you're going run.
Yeah, because the defense is sort of game plan for something. And then
what's the best way to beat Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Andrew Luck? By keeping them off the field. So if you have a run-based offense, that's fine. But don't go kicking the quarterback to the curb because he threw an interception. That's just a bunch of crap.
The Jets were prided themselves years ago, during their championship, AFC championship times a couple of years ago, for playing strong defense and running the ball. Rex Ryan really relied on that strong defense, solidified with corners that could basically hang on their island, hence the Revis Island. They don't have that anymore.
Nope.
So to keep their defense from coming on the field, you got to be effective on the offensive side, and that just has not happened up to this point in the season. They tried early in the season. Chris Ivory's had some nice games, but he's not the answer.
Just my whole point is that the Jets are just not a good team right now. They're just not a good team. Mark Sanchez looked great last night. He looked fantastic. He didn't turn the ball over.
I love how we were going to turn this into a Monday Night Football discussion, and yet again, we've talked about the Jets. This is a New York-based radio show, and somehow we always end up coming back to the Jets. Always.
Yeah, well.
Is that any of our teams?
No.
No, not at all.
Geno Smith takes up 90% of the airwaves on the Star Fantasy League show. It's insane.
I'm sorry. I'm still on his side.
That is, I have never said bench him for Michael Vick. Never once said that. Michael Vick is not the answer to any question unless it's which quarterback do you never want to see play football again? It's Mike Vick, right?
I mean, he threw a couple of nice passes against Pittsburgh, but
against one of the worst secondaries. Okay, those two teams combined for like the worst second and the worst secondaries right now. Yeah. Injured. Nobody on the field right now is who started the year. Nobody.
Yeah. Well, I think in any case, I think it's safe to say that whoever is playing quarterback in Chip Kelly's offense moving forward is a shoe-in, is an automatic plug. And you got to have him on your team.
Speaking to what you said earlier about just letting things happen and not for fans being idiots and screaming for the next big thing, I read an article on the four-letter that said that should the Philadelphia Eagles consider drafting Marcus Mariota out of Oregon? What the hell is wrong with these people?
Well, why not? Why not?
Because you'd need to move up to probably get
Okay,
him.
well, yeah, that's true. But, okay, let's say they had the opportunity. Let's just say they had the opportunity.
You're already – okay, if he drops, fine, whatever. But if you move up and you have Nick Foles, you basically say, nah, you're good.
Well, they've already soured on Nick Foles, okay? Marcus Mariota can give you the option to run the ball a lot more than Nick Foles can.
That's true.
And he is already familiar with Chip Kelly's offense, obviously. So it might not be a bad play.
I was saying, is that one of those sort of wink, wink, hey, when I go to the pros, maybe you come with me type thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Chip Kelly
would not be a bad decision.
Chip Kelly is, even in the year and a half that he's been in the league, has been known to bring in his products. They were talking about it last night. He has a lot of guys who played with them, worked with them.
Where's LaMichael James?
Yeah.
Is he still in the league? Is he still on the 49ers?
Yeah, well.
He retired, didn't he?
No, that was
Marcus Lattimore.
LaMichael James was a member of the same. He never got going.
Yeah.
He was one of the who's going to usurp Frank Gore. He was one of those guys. Never happened.
Yeah, well, that just wasn't the system for him. But I could definitely see it being a possibility in Philadelphia for sure. So, in any case, I think we have a waiver wire to talk about.
We do.
Yeah.
We also, quickly, I want to mention Carolina sucks. They're
horrible
football team.
Cam Newton, man. I mean, I think he got sacked nine times.
Yeah, nine
and
times.
had 5 turnovers alone by himself.
By a defense that hasn't been good all season.
Ouch.
They haven't been great.
The Eagles have turned the ball over. Fantasy defense-wise, they're great.
Okay.
But
fantasy defense and regular actual football defense.
We are talking fantasy
totally
here, though.
different.
Totally different.
Oh, stop it, Footer. We have to talk about real world. That's why we're breaking down these games. But we are talking about the waiver wire on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Today is waiver wire day. I believe at midnight, waivers will process. Mm-hmm. So we need to give you the best guys to pick up to make your best team. Sounds like a good idea, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. We'll give you some guys. All right, we're going to go down position by position and see who you should be picking up. These are names. Keep in mind, they're not always going to be available in your league, but if they are, A, your league is terrible, and B, pick them up immediately or else you will be terrible for not picking them up.
Do it now.
Yeah.
All right, the quarterback position, for some reason, Footer put him on the breakdown, but I hate you for doing it. Josh McCown's name is listed here. Are you confused?
Well, no, actually, you know what? I think this might be just a 1-week plug. For me, and not a long-term solution, but why? What do you mean?
He put up Mike Glennon numbers last week. He threw for 300, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
I am happy that you said Mike Glennon numbers because Mike Glennon is still a better option than Josh McCown, and I hate that Tampa Bay spent all this money when I thought Mike Glennon was the right way to go here.
All right, but the fact of the matter is that Mike Glennon is not going to be starting in Week 11. No. So
do you know why Josh McCown's a good option? 6'4" reason. His name is Mike Evans, and he is beasting it right now.
No, well, I also think that the Washington Redskins give up a heck of a lot of fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. So Mike Evans is coming out at the right time, and Josh McCown's going to be the starter against a weak defense. It might just be a good little plug and play. I know there are a couple of guys on a bye, like the Cowboys are on a bye. Tony Romo, if you need a backup for him, could be a good 1-week plug.
Yeah, I think out of the available quarterbacks who are probably going to be on the waiver wire. Maybe you're not in your league. He has the best options to throw to with Mike Evans and Vincent Jackson.
You don't think Mark Sanchez has the best options? Because let's be honest.
Why would Mark Sanchez still be available?
A lot of the people that are in the know are going to have Mark Sanchez in their lineups. But a lot of the people will see the name Mark Sanchez and go, oh, that guy? Like, he's burned me in the past.
Yeah.
So if you have a league where people went, let's see what he does, and he's still available this week, I think Mark Sanchez is the number one guy.
Definitely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
But I think that he's been picked up in so many leagues at this point, he probably isn't available. They're going up against the Packers. Packers defense is not that good.
The past couple weeks, they've figured, okay, Jay Cutler
made
figure
them look
out.
good.
That's an
He
anomaly
made them look
right
good.
there, yeah.
Absolutely. But they played the Saints, and the Saints absolutely smoked them. So that's the same old defense to me. I think there are certain things that they do that confuse certain players. I don't see the Chip Kelly offense succumbing to that at all. They move too much. They give you too many different looks. They put guys in space and let them make plays rather than moving the chains, just trying to get a 10-yard button hook and that's that. No, they put a guy in space and let him make the play from there. And I think that the Packers defense is not going to be well suited to go up against that.
It's good to see as well that Sanchez has found new targets, essentially. I mean, guys that were there, but he developed a nice rapport with Jordan Matthews last night. You talked about this last week.
Yep.
I'm sure Matthews will be a guy we discuss, but he's not the number one guy on the team, but he played like the number one last night. So that's a good sign for fantasy
Yet
owners.
another fantasy rookie. Boom. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't Jordan Matthews a rookie this year? Mm-hmm. That's 6 guys now. We just keep naming rookies who are actually – and there's another one we're going to talk about in a bit. All right, one more guy, I guess, Michael Vick. No, he's on bye, I know, but
I don't see.
you think he's
I don't
even
think
starting?
I don't think you're going to be winning any leagues if you have Michael Vick as your starting quarterback. So if he's your only option, fine.
You're in
but
trouble.
You're in trouble. You're
all
in
right.
big trouble.
Anybody else quarterback before we move on?
The only other one I could think of possibly would be available just because of what's going on with the carousel is Drew Stanton, actually, in Arizona, with Carson Palmer out for the year. Someone might have picked up Stanton when he had his play earlier in the season, but if they dropped him after Palmer had some success coming back, he's got very talented receiving core there as well. He's got a great running back, so I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot in that Bruce Arians offense.
Yeah, he came on in relief and actually played okay.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, you're talking about a low ceiling guy, but at the same time, he has enough weapons there that, hey, you never know. He could actually be a pretty viable option.
Yeah, we talked about Sanchez having all these great weapons, but Arizona is the best team in the league right now for a reason. They do have the weapons. Andre Ellington's great. Larry Fitzgerald's an old man, but he still knows how to catch the ball,
They
surprisingly.
have the best record in the league out there. I don't know about that.
Oh,
best.
stop it. They're currently the best, maybe. All right, coming after the break, we're continuing with the waiver wire talk and also some John Ellis mailbag. You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
Yeah. We'll get to John's mailbag in a minute, but it is Tuesday, so it means waiver wire day on StarFantasyLeagues.com and the Star Fantasy League Show. So we were talking quarterbacks before the break, which means it's time to move along to running backs. Lots of running backs on the
guys who
docket.
carry the ball, right?
Those are the guys. Yeah, it's a divisional matchup on Thursday too. Did you know that? I mean, every time you say something dumb, I'm just going to bring that up.
The guys who carry the ball, right?
Okay. All right. I can't deal with you right now. Nick's off in another world dreaming about Aaron Rodgers right now.
I am.
I mean, he is wearing an awesome Packers shirt, I got to say.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Let's get this love out of here. All right. The first thing I wanted to mention in the running back carousel, because you mentioned the word carousel before the break, is this whole Denver thing. Of course, Ronnie Hillman's having a great time, getting all these fantasy points. Oops, hurt. Gonna miss 2 weeks. So who's next? That's the big question here. Monty Ball had the job before. C.J. Anderson had a big game in everybody's absence, but he's basically the only guy there, him and Juwan Thompson. But who do you pick up?
You have to pick up C.J. Anderson if he's probably going to be the only one available. I have to assume.
Oh, you think
If
Juwan Thompson's is going to be available too?
I mean, all 4 of them should be owned. All 4 running backs should be owned
Because they play the best offense in the league. Yeah,
I think that you're going to see Monty Ball get some more looks at the starting spot. You know, they played the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders are one of the worst rushing defenses in the league.
Yep.
So it's not surprising that an explosive back would be able to take advantage of that. Ronnie Hillman was also a little hurt coming into this game. So I have to assume that, C.J. Anderson was the benefactor of a really weak defense, and a defense that was probably sick and tired of getting beaten to hell by Peyton Manning. So they probably backed way the heck off. I don't know. I mean, really, seriously, you should be owning all four of them. I guess if you had to rank them, I still think Ronnie Hillman keeps the job. I would put Monty Ball 2, C.J. Anderson 3, and Thompson 4.
Yeah, Anderson was a beneficiary of a huge pass play, which made him really fantasy relevant. He still ended up, I think, getting around 90 yards rushing, but that play alone was like a huge play for him. I have to agree with Nick. I would say Monty Ball is going to get a fair shake coming up in Week 11 for them, and I still think he is the best overall option, the most talented back that they have. I just don't think.
Really?
Yeah, like overall talent wise, I just think he brings that, where the other guys are very limited in other areas.
Well, he hasn't brought much so far this year, so that's I got to question it. I mean,
and I can understand that, but he hasn't shown anything. I still think they've given him 2 chances. What's to say that he doesn't get a third?
Never know. All right, let's talk about some more running backs that are going to be available on the waiver wire. All right, this Reggie Bush thing it's really making me mad. The whole Joique Bell against Reggie Bush thing. I know Zach and Nick had a bet going into the season. We should have bet more on who would play more games.
Yeah, I guess so.
Reggie Bush doesn't know how to play games.
It really is ridiculous. He was absolutely 100% going to play 2 weeks ago, and then he didn't. And then this week, he was totally up in the air. Wasn't really sure if he was going to go.
And then played.
And now he's done.
Yeah.
I don't know when he's coming back. So I think Theo Riddick is an absolute ad.
And even when he was kind of like the third guy, Theo Riddick was going in there and stealing touchdowns on like passing plays. Like I have him as a backup to a backup in a 20-man league, and now I'm going, oh, cool, I have Theo Riddick now. Great, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, he caught the game-winning touchdown on Sunday on a great play, and he didn't put up huge stats-wise, but he didn't need to. And you're probably not going to get a lot of carries out of him, but in a PPR format, like you play on Star Fantasy Leagues, it's he's a great player. So
that is true indeed. Give Theo Riddick a look if you need some help in your deep running back, which, let's be honest, people do need help in running back at all times.
Yeah,
always need
absolutely.
Help. All right, speaking of running backs, who else are we getting off the waiver wire this week? We got a lot of people coming back from injuries. Ryan Matthews coming back. Maybe somebody dropped him and didn't think he'd be back this season. I've seen him floating around in some places. He's not as highly owned as he should be.
Yeah, I don't know why that is because
it makes no sense. He was coming back.
Doesn't. No, Brandon Oliver had 1-2 good games maybe.
Hasn't been hurt from since.
Really hasn't. So, I mean, there's a reason that he was an undrafted free agent, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. If he's available, you definitely snag him. There's a couple of running back carousels out there where I think you have to take whatever piece of the pie is out there and just keep it in your fridge because shut up. Come on, I almost had that one. I think Trey Mason, that's one that you have to look at. Isaiah Crowell is another. These guys, they're at least in contention for a starting job.
What about Charles Sims in Tampa Bay? Because Martin done.
Yeah.
Bobby Rainey, we don't know we don't know at this point.
Well, we know that he's a good running back, but apparently nobody else down there knows. So.
But yeah, apparently Charles Smith is going to be unleashed in the next, just like Bishop Sankey was going to be unleashed all season.
Yep,
Oops.
exactly.
Well, Sims out-touched Rainey.
First week.
First week. It was almost 2-1 by the time the touches were done. Another guy who's coming back from injury that might be available is Pierre Thomas. Kyrie Robinson's not going to be healthy. Mark Ingram's carried the ball 30 times on Sunday, and he's beasting it right now. But how long does that body hold up? He's had injury issues in the past, and Travis Cadet is obviously not the option. So Pierre Thomas could be available in your league as well.
I think Pierre Thomas is a bit of an emergency ad, though. He really doesn't have a high ceiling anymore.
No,
it's clear that they're not trying to feature him. He's coming in and he's maybe getting 4 or 5 touches a game. It's really ridiculous.
Speaking of the perpetually injured, Alfred Blue's going to be available because Arian Foster, I don't know at this point. He complained about injury, but says he's going to play.
He's going to play.
Like you said, Reggie Bush thing. Definitely going to play this week. We're definitely not going to play. Where do you take these comments? Do you take them at face value, or do you go?
I would never trust what a player says. Never trust what a player says because at the end of the day, they want to be on the field, and that's great. I understand that.
And
They
to their
wanna
own
be out
detriment
there.
most of the time.
Exactly, but you can't say, "Oh, Reggie Bush says he's playing." That doesn't matter. None of it matters.
Yeah, there's two philosophies I see that you can take with running backs. Try to get as many starters as you can, or you get a few amount of starters and always handcuff them. I think this is definitely a situation where if you are an Arian Foster owner, you have to handcuff him at all times because he just is never – he never seems like he's 100%. When he's 100 or close to 100%, he still has, great games, but he just never seems like he's there. So
And then he'll miss 2 games randomly and be like, wait, I thought you were healthy.
yeah, my toe
What
hurts
happened?
or something like that. Yeah.
Ow, my toe hurts.
No, it's always soft tissue with him. It's groin and hamstring and
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
All right, speaking of soft tissue injuries, Dwayne Bowe's listed as one of the wide receivers we have on the waiver wire. Do we ever want to trust
No.
ouchie Dwayne Bowe?
No, not even about that. I mean, the fact that Alex Smith, I think I heard a stat before Sunday said that he was 40th in the league in passing down the field or something like that. Like he just
How are you
doesn't-
40th in the league if
Exactly.
there's only 30 starters?
Exactly. You aren't even as good as 10 backups in the NFL.
Johnny Manziel
at
hasn't
throwing
thrown
down the field.
Johnny Manziel hasn't thrown an NFL pass. He's still better than Johnny Manziel.
So
Alex
Dwayne Bowe is never going to be a high ceiling wide receiver with Alex Smith there. They just don't game plan for him.
Kansas City still does not have a passing touchdown to wide receivers this season. They're the only team in the NFL that has that.
Yeah, because their tight ends, their number one
Tight
receiver.
ends, well, the running back I think is their number one receiver.
Oh,
in
no,
my
but I
opinion.
meant in the
Oh,
receiving
oh,
core, the
yeah.
actual core, it is Travis Kelce.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's coming off a disappointing week. Bo had probably his best game of the season on
His
Sunday.
best game since Alex Smith came to the team, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah, he had 8 for 92, I believe.
Woo.
In PPR format, he might be worth a stash just because he could get 5-6 catches, but he's not going to get a lot of yards. He's not going to score.
But can he get 5 or 6 catches? That's my question. I mean, I see like 2 or 3 a game.
That's the best case scenario
That's like-
I could make for him.
it's-
It's tough because Dwayne Bowe is terrible.
I'd much rather go with some of these younger guys who have the insane upside, like the John Browns, like the Jordan Matthews, even a Jarvis Landry in Miami with that offense kind of clicking, except they just played Detroit.
I was
so
actually
it
really
didn't count.
bummed that Carson Palmer went down for John Brown because John Brown I think he has so much more potential with a really solid quarterback there.
But we did talk about it. We said John Brown had a really nice game earlier when Drew Stanton was playing.
Week 3, he
so
had a huge game. Caught that touchdown late Sunday, so it made him fantasy relevant. Landry's obviously from Miami. He's taken over that second role, taken away from Brandon Gibson and Brian Hartline. Wallace hasn't scored a touchdown. Wallace scored his first touchdown since week 1 on Sunday, so somebody's got to be catching those receiving touchdowns.
Yeah,
down there.
honestly, I really like Landry. I think he's a really good one to target. You're not looking for 2-3 touchdown games out of him,
No.
but in a PPR league, he could be great. And Ryan Tannehill is definitely playing well. He's playing better. I know they have a short week this week, so I'm not so sure that you want to put him in your lineup this week.
Not to mention they're playing Buffalo, which we assume that's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I would have.
Ish.
I
Although
would
it is in Miami. It is in Miami.
Yeah,
I probably would avoid most people in that game just be on the safe side. But I'm usually
except
like
for the
that
Bills
with-
D. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, defense is.
Oh, God, get out of here.
Sorry.
The sack monsters.
Yeah, I was saying, how many sacks are we calling this week?
Oh,
10,
yeah.
20?
25.
I mean, they had 6 last week. Yeah, so 25 sounds right.
All right, quickly, any other wide receivers before we move on to the final category and get done with waiver wire?
well,
'Cause we need
Jordan
to jump
Matthews, if he's there.
I
Did
just
we talk
said
about
him.
him?
I
Okay, I'm
did just
sorry.
say
I didn't
him.
hear.
No, I mean, there's a lot of teams on bye this week, or 4 more teams that are still on bye, and they got 2 next week. So, I mentioned Cecil Shorts last week, so maybe somebody you want to pick up, consider.
No, 'cause he's
if-
a name.
Again, if Josh Gordon hasn't been picked up in your league,
You're drunk.
If he
hasn't been picked up, your league should be disbanded. Your commissioner should be fired for not posting what the hell is wrong with the rest of you. I didn't pick him up.
And a TV show should be made about your league.
But not a good show. Just a
Martavis
crap.
Bryant, if he's still available, which
Actually, he is still available in a league of mine.
That's
I
embarrassing.
don't understand it.
And why haven't you
It's
picked him up?
ridiculous. No,
You-
he got dropped this past week, so he's on waivers this week.
That's embarrassing.
really, really dumb.
Spend your number 1 pick to get Martavis Bryant. He is clearly the number 2 in that offense.
Yes.
Clearly the number
Absolutely.
2.
even when Roethlisberger has a bad game, he
Yeah, he had a
excels.
monster,
will
he had a
find
monster game. He cut that long touchdown at the end. He's
Yeah.
great. Love him. All right, quickly, let's talk about the tight end position. We mentioned the whole Minnesota Vikings. Is Kyle Rudolph coming back? Is he not? Is he
Should
healthy?
be.
Is he not?
Should be coming back this week.
And he's a top
was-
he's a top 8 tight end if he's healthy, right?
He was ahead of the schedule in terms of recovery the whole way. So yeah, I think he's back this week. I think he gives a great a great safety net for Teddy Bridgewater. He's really – you have to have him, but I don't know if he's top 8 now.
He's a touchdown or bust guy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that 1 year, 2 years ago, he had like 9 touchdowns this season. He was like top 6.
Does have a very favorable matchup. I believe Minnesota plays Chicago this week.
Ooh, yum.
So they've given up, obviously, a lot. I mean, even they gave up the 1-yard touchdown to Bostic last week.
But think about if this guy was on the Green Bay Packers. He would be a feature piece in that
Definitely.
offense.
Yeah, why can't you pick up a guy like this in Green Bay?
I
Pick
would
up
love
a
to.
good pass-catching tight end. How hard is it?
Because
They had one,
know,
but-
Aaron Rodgers knows how to create better players, I guess.
I guess that's true. And the last guy we have to talk about, well, I guess there's 2, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I don't know.
No.
McCown, who knows?
Yeah.
But Michael Rivera is really coming on this season. He's starting to gel with Derek Carr. Derek Carr's finding him quite often.
Yeah, I talked about him last week. I love him. He's getting the targets. 20
And garbage time.
Yeah, that's
Tons of
doesn't
garbage.
matter.
Hold on. Every game Oakland plays in is garbage time.
Exactly.
The whole game is garbage time.
Exactly.
So pick up Michael Rivera off the waiver wire. Coming up after the break, we are talking, I believe it's pronounced NBA. We're talking NBA Fantasy, the Star Fantasy League Show. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at starfantasyleagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League Show with Jonathan, Zach, and Nick. Only on The Team.
All right, not only did the voice guy get it wrong, but we're back here on the show with Jonathan Footer and Zach Stanley?
Fantasy chairs.
All right, so apparently Zach heard through the walls that we were doing Fantasy NBA for the first time this season. He had to jump in and kick Nick out of his chair.
We talked about it once when I was here.
Yeah, but not like making a lineup and doing it. It was a 2-game slate.
We
That
didn't get as
doesn't count.
intensive.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to actually break that down. But before we actually break down the 6-game slate tonight on StarFantasyLeagues.com, what we're going to do is we're going to give you some general fantasy knowledge.
Oh, good, because I need that.
Yeah, you definitely do. But you're going to learn. That's the best part of this. So what we're going to do here is I actually have a question from James D. in the mailbag we didn't get to read. So we'll do this. Now that the NBA season is a few weeks old, what type of information and stats do you use to help build the perfect daily fantasy basketball lineup? There's a lot of information floating around. If you're an amateur, you see all these numbers and you go, oh, I don't know what the hell to do with all this. So what do you use? What's the first thing you look at? Are you looking at matchups? Are you looking at defensive statistics, fantasy
I don't
points?
go as in depth to statistics as some people might. You'll see stats like overall ceiling. How often a player reaches 50 points in fantasy, different things like that.
So Anthony Davis every day?
Right, that's true. But what I really like to look at is how players have done previously versus this player. So if you see that, Milwaukee, small team, small front court, always let up a lot of points to big men. How have the big men that they've played in previous weeks been doing, which is a huge advantage early in the season to see those first 5 or 6 games, who's really playing well, who's giving up a lot of points at different positions defensively, and go off of that. And then I look back the past couple seasons and look and see how those players have done against those teams. The thing is, for me, with my knowledge of basketball, which is pretty substantial,
Which is vast. You watch a lot. You watch a lot of basketball day to day.
I know who was there 2 or 3 years ago in that power forward position.
Yeah, you can tell.
So I'll be able to say, okay, well, I know that Marc Gasol was, I know Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph were in the front court for Memphis 5 years ago. Yeah. So I don't need to worry about who I'm looking at when I look at how that player did against them, because I'll know that it's them.
Exactly. So you do actually advocate for defensive position rankings. Like if a team is giving up the second most points to point guards, you pretty much assume that the point guard is just a turnstile and you're going against that point guard. Like we have our guys we kind of go towards, like basically Tony Parker's usually a turnstile. Darren Collison, now that he's a starter, is the number 1 turnstile at point guard position. He does not guard anybody.
Yeah, and totals don't really matter to me. That it doesn't matter how many points go in if your player's not the one that's getting the points. And in fantasy basketball, points come in so many different categories that if your guy gets 10 rebounds, it's because the other team missed 10 shots.
Yeah.
So
this is very true. Yeah, you got to do a lot of looking around. But the number one thing we have to talk about before we get into the 6-game slate is paying attention to the last 15 to 20 minutes before the tip. We do offer late swap on StarFantasyLeagues.com, and there's a reason for that, because NBA coaches are jerks. I'm going to say this. They'll tell you, oh, this guy is questionable. 3 minutes before the game, you see him in the layup line. 2 minutes before the game, out, gone.
And I can tell you that I've been complaining since Friday about how badly I got screwed over on Friday night.
With who?
Dwight Howard.
I was going to say, was it Rudy Gay? Because for
Dwight
some reason you
Howard.
always think it's Rudy Gay.
Started Dwight Howard. 7 o'clock came around. It was Friday night. I was set to go out to dinner with some friends. Lineup was set. Everything was good to go. At 7:40, the Dwight Howard announcement is made. Could have gotten him out of there before the 8 o'clock start time. I wasn't alert, and I lost. It cost me all my games.
Yep, that is the one thing with NBA. You have to be proactive. You have to look on Twitter. Follow some beat writers. Follow some guys who play DFS. And
we have the late swap. So
yeah.
as long as you're alert, you'll be able to take care of business, unlike myself.
Yeah, that's the best part about StarFantasyLeagues.com. If you're out to dinner, you see it on your Twitter, just go on the website, change the guy out, one click, he's done. You can swap them out. Footer, you can follow that, right? Click and swap.
Yeah, I
Pretty
think
easy.
I got that.
Yeah, there you go.
News, bulletins,
Yes.
notices.
Twitter,
Oh.
internet.
Yeah.
Twitter is still like his head is spinning right. You're giving out so much information. Let's actually put that information to good use. Let's talk about tonight, Tuesday night on StarFantasyLeagues.com. We're gonna give a breakdown of all 6 games, and then what we're gonna do in the last segment after the break is we're actually gonna make a lineup. Zach's gonna walk you through who he likes, how he actually positions it, and we're gonna put this lineup. We're gonna fake put it in a game on StarFantasyLeagues.com and keep track of it for tomorrow's show. So if you're paying attention, you'll see how we did. And Zach's gonna do good because he's always really good at this stuff.
I have been doing pretty well.
Yeah, but not on our site because
Not on our site.
allowed
I
to
don't play on our site.
Correct, not allowed to play. All right, let's get to it. First game on the slate is San Antonio at Golden State. The big question here is, are we getting popped? They just popped him, so
Yeah, it was just last Thursday, so I really don't think that it's going to happen, but it could happen at any time. Last night was a really intense game for San Antonio, big comeback game against the Clippers, in which
yeah, they won that game. Right?
they did.
Yeah.
They came back. They were down pretty much all game, came back and won that game, and Kawhi Leonard, just reaffirmed why he was the NBA Finals MVP. A little bit of an injury to start the season, ended up missing a few games, came in, said there were some eye problems going on. He's been having vision issues. He went nuts last night.
Yeah, he had 26 points, 10 rebounds, 3 steals. That's kind of like what he does when he goes off. He gets a lot of points, always a lot of steals. He's usually good for 2 or more if he's on.
He was extremely tenacious last night and actually clinched the game with the steal off of Chris Paul.
Did I hear he had pink eye last night? Is that what they said?
We cannot confirm or deny if it's pink eye.
No.
It's a little awkward. We don't want to talk about that.
All right, fair enough.
All right. At his current value, around $12,000 on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Are we interested in him tonight? This is a big game.
Absolutely. This is a very advantageous game for him. Some of the older guys on the Spurs, more trouble getting up on the court than Kawhi Leonard, who can just fly. He should have some opportunity to get some breakaways tonight. And Golden State's been known to be a little bit mistake prone.
I was say
They like to pass the ball around a lot, which can lead to some turnovers.
I was gonna say, that's true. He will steal the ball a lot. But on the other side of the floor, they basically have the older version of Kawhi Leonard and Andre Iguodala, who's probably going to be, floating around and making sure he doesn't go off.
And he's not even starting.
Well, did I say he was starting?
No, I'm just saying Kawhi's probably not going to see him that much.
Oh,
anyways.
but come on, you don't think Andre Iguodala is going to be kind of looking out for Kawhi Leonard? That's why they got him.
I'm sure he will. I mean, he's a matchup problem.
Yeah.
He really is for anybody because he can play like a shooting guard, but he's as strong and as big as a small forward.
That is true. He is definitely a matchup problem. That's kind of why he is matchup proof. When he's in this zone like he is right now, especially at his price, you got to put him in there. Anybody else from that game?
Steph Curry is just way too high for me in a situation where he really doesn't get as many fantasy points over the course of the last few years against the Spurs. Draymond Green.
Green's been getting
I'm definitely looking at Draymond Green.
Well, with no David Lee.
No David Lee. He's going to be out for another week and a half. Past few games, Draymond Green is blown up. He's still sitting pretty solid. What is he, around 10,000?
Yep,
Yeah.
10,749.
That's a great price.
I agree. All right, let's move on. Sacramento and Dallas. Like I said, those fantasy matchups were points against. Both both teams against the point guard position give up the first and fifth most fantasy points against to the point guard position. So I'm looking at some point guards here, right?
There could end up being a freebie tonight if people are on their game and know what they're doing. I haven't seen the price yet. Oh, yeah, there it is just now. Ramon Sessions, who is likely to be starting this game with Darren Collison doubtful, will end up taking over point guard duties for the Kings, and he has the ability to go off. He has the ability to get 30 fantasy points anytime that he gets up to 30 minutes.
And he's kind of like it's funny because last year it was like Darren Collison. When he was starting, he'd do crazy things like this. Same thing with Ron Sessions. He gets the chance. Aaron Brooks when he gets the chance. These are a lot of guys that if in a normal circumstance you're not starting them ever. But if they get the chance, somebody in the rotation is out and they're getting 30, 35 minutes, it's a no-brainer, especially at the minimum. Ramon Sessions, no-brainer.
And that's what you want to look at. You've got a guy like Nicholas Batum that is out tonight in the Portland game. Darrell Wright's going to be starting for him. Darrell Wright hasn't played more than 7 minutes in a game this year, so you can't rely on the production there. But a guy like Ramon Sessions, who has put in some minutes in games this year, who has shown over the last 5 or 6 years that he's more than capable of being a decent point guard and coming in and starting in a game, perfect time to play him tonight.
Yep. All right. Next game, like you just said, that Portland game, maybe not those guys, but Charlotte has been really, really underwhelming so far this season.
Yeah, Charlotte is very difficult because Kemba Walker is not getting where people thought he was going to get. He's really not. He ended up getting paid. He's sitting at $13,000 right now, which looks pretty attractive, but when you see guys that are around him, Reggie Jackson, who's been controlling the ball constantly for OKC. Serge Ibaka, who's even lower than that.
And Serge Ibaka has what you said earlier. Milwaukee's big men are garbage and undersized. I think Serge Ibaka's a duh of the night.
Yeah, and Kawhi Leonard at $12,100. There's just too many guys for your utility forward spots that are available and guards that Kemba just isn't. It doesn't look good to me, especially the way that he's playing right now. Al Jefferson, not against Robin Lopez.
Yeah, Robin Lopez is actually he's not the best fantasy center in the world, but he does actually protect the rim. He rebounds well. He puts up blocks. So, yeah, you don't want to start anybody against Robin Lopez, despite the fact that the center position they actually play okay.
I'm giving a hard look to LaMarcus Aldridge tonight.
Yeah,
actually,
we're going to end up putting with the $3,000 value that we mentioned earlier for Sessions. You're going to have the money left over to put in an elite guy.
Yeah, and given that the people that are out here that are on the board tonight, Steph Curry, DeMarcus Cousins, the top two guys in terms of salary, Aldridge is sitting right there by Tim Duncan and Vucevic. And he's good enough to put up way more points than those guys on any given night. And he's got a pretty favorable matchup with Charlotte, who, well, Al Jefferson is miserable defensively. I don't know if they're going to put him on there, but they don't really have anybody else that they can put on him. So I like him to have a really good night tonight.
Yep. All right, let's move on. One more game. Orlando and Toronto. Toronto's a big, big favorite at home. Anybody you like there? Because Orlando's just young kids running around trying to learn the game of basketball on the run.
It's tough. These are two teams that just played, I think, a week and a half ago. Mm-hmm. And there really wasn't that much going on there to speak of. DeMar DeRozan has been doing very well out of the gate, but he's the type of guy that you rely upon solely for points mostly.
Yeah, he doesn't do. Literally his stat sheet is 25 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. It's like the fantasy kryptonite. I hate starting DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, he's got a decent. Both him and Lowry have a decent price tag at $13,800.
But Lowry has a higher ceiling. All the time. Because he can go for 10 or 11.
He can go for a triple-double.
Yeah.
He can.
That is very true.
He has that potential, but he hasn't been impressive so far this year. Actually, this is a game I don't have anybody in.
Okay. All right. 2 more games quickly. We'll talk about it coming out of the break as well. LA Lakers and Memphis and Oklahoma City and Milwaukee. We'll get to OKC and Milwaukee. I think there's some value there. But Lakers and Memphis, the Lakers are terrible. What the heck do we do with this team?
Watch Kobe Bryant just get a ton of points.
I was going to say, but...
That's all that they have going on. Jordan Hill's had done pretty well the past few games, but I can't have any confidence in him. Kobe Bryant, who's sitting right there with Damian Lillard, below Damian Lillard, he's a guy that can put up 45, 50 fantasy points any given night, and that's something that he's going to put up 25 shots. Obviously, because we count against those types of things, you can get damaged by it.
That's true.
But there's a lot of upside there.
Yeah, are you more interested in playing Kobe in a game that's going to be a blowout because you know he's going to be chasing?
I also just love Kobe.
Oh, of course you love Kobe. All right, Zach Stanley's going to join us after the break, and we're going to create a lineup for basketball on StarFantasyLeagues.com. You're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team. I keep saying 105.5 The Team only because I don't have a new outro yet. I'll come up with it.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
That is right. You can tweet us at SFL Show, but it's time. I haven't done this in the longest time, and we've actually had a change to the lineup creation on StarFantasyLeagues.com. So last season I used to say 2 guards, 2 forwards, 2 centers, 2 utility, right? You remember that?
Yes.
It's different now. We changed it on StarFantasyLeagues.com to allow more lineup flexibility. You guys complained about too many centers. It's true. There's not a lot of centers in the league. So the lineup creation goes like this on StarFantasyLeagues.com. 3 guards, 3 forwards, 1 center, and 1 utility allows you to sort of make a more broad lineup as opposed to stretching to try to find some centers.
I much prefer that, actually.
What, stretching to find centers?
No, just being able to get all sorts of guys in, you know?
Yeah.
Having different options and not having to worry about point guard versus shooting guard or the forwards.
Yeah, I hate that. I like guard and I
agree
like
with that.
forward.
Let
I'm
me
okay with that.
let me up my strategy even more, you know what I mean?
Yep, that is true. All right, let's talk about that last game real quick. Oklahoma City and Milwaukee. I think that's where we're putting some guys in. Am I correct?
Yeah, there's a couple guys that I have in there for sure. Reggie Jackson is a guy I'm really looking at who has been extremely impressive and is playing over 40 minutes in every one of these games. Serge Ibaka, like you said, another great option, sitting at 12,800.
Well, yeah, because these are the numbers that I'm looking at. Milwaukee gives up the 2nd most points to centers, 10th most points or fantasy points to power forwards. I think either Steven Adams or Serge Ibaka has a monster game. I'm more leaning towards Ibaka because he does a lot more than Steven Adams.
Yeah, he's pretty much a steal at this point. I mean,
Yeah, because Ibaka last season was all the way up to about 16,000, 17,000. Currently, he's listed around 13,000. Like you said, I think it's a no-brainer. Anything else from that game before we actually move on to the actual creation of a lineup?
yeah, Jeremy Lamb, who's at 8,000 right now.
What, because he's the only healthy body there?
Him and Reggie Jackson are that backcourt right now. They could have a great game against a defense that really hasn't been doing that well.
Yeah, that is true, but this team's bad. Without 2 of the best top 10 players in basketball.
I've actually been very impressed with the effort that they've put out.
Could this help them in the long run?
Yes.
Yeah?
Absolutely. And actually, when I was watching the Spurs the other night, that's exactly what I was thinking was
These kids
they,
get
yeah,
a chance?
they get these guys in there 5 or 6 times throughout the course of the year at least, and they end up getting a lot more minutes and a lot more experience.
That is true. All right, let's actually create a lineup on StarFantasyLeagues.com and see how it does. Where are we starting out? We're starting out at the guard position, obviously, but you did mention one name that we have to get in there before anything else. Is that what we do? You pick the top guys you know you have to have and then move from there?
Well, it actually all depends. I really like to get my center out of the way because because it's that one position where you have one option.
Okay.
And I actually ended up fitting in DeMarcus Cousins.
Did you really? Okay, so let's put in DeMarcus Cousins, 17,500. He's 2,000 over Nikola Vukovic, who I'm not starting for any reason against Valanciunas. No reason. They're both pretty big guys.
The 2 great options that I see out here tonight, although Tyson Chandler's a decent option, he's been doing pretty well. Marc Gasol could have an awesome game.
Yeah.
He really could. He has absolutely crushed the Lakers over the past few years, and they have nobody to defend.
All right, so let's cement in DeMarcus Cousins. Let's go from there. Who do you like at the guard positions?
Guard positions, Reggie Jackson
Yep.
at 13,000, Kobe Bryant at 14,700, and then that value play who could still end up putting 25, 30 fantasy points, Ramon Sessions.
Yeah, Ramon Sessions at 3,000 is an absolute no-brainer. Got to get him in there. All right, forward, are we putting in Serge Ibaka? We said he's a pretty good value under 13,000.
Putting in Ibaka.
And hold on, sorry, I remember I said the no-dub play. I thought you were going for Kawhi Leonard. He's
Putting
a
in
no-dub.
Kawhi.
Okay, just checking.
And putting in LaMarcus Aldridge.
Really? You managed to get all of these big names in just because you fit in the one 3,000 minimum player.
And then I managed to put in Draymond Green.
Oh, my God. This is a pretty
Great
good
value play.
lineup. All right, let's get that lineup in there one more time so you can play it on StarFantasyLeagues.com and see how you do against us. Reggie Jackson, Ramon Sessions, Kobe Bryant, Serge Ibaka, Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMarcus Cousins, and Draymond Green. That's a pretty good lineup, Zach.
I feel pretty good about that.
I think we're gonna
I put that together pretty quick, too.
Yeah, that is pretty good. That's what we do on the Star Fantasy League show. We give you
Footer's going to use it.
I really am. I'm going to go take it right
Footer,
now.
you're not allowed to do that.
Just for fun, though.
You're also being kicked out. No, you're being kicked out of the show. It's done.
He's going to be asking me what my lineup is every day.
Hey, I'm
That
still
is
here.
true.
Nick is gone, so.
That is true. And if you're upset that Nick Teddy Bear 2 got kicked out of his seat, he'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
Boo!
Take it easy, guys.